Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about our solar and battery systems on there. There's nothing worse than being on a 4-5 day trip and you are running out of power. Your beers is getting hot, your drinks is getting hot, as well as your meat is defrosting. Usually when we on trips, our trips is roughly around about between 10 and 14 days. So we have to make sure on our overlanding trips that we can cater at least 4 to 5 days without driving to Eskom power or driving by using the alternator charging the batteries, as well as, so we have to use solar power when we're stationary. We're not putting enough power back into the batteries that we've utilized. Batteries is like your fuel tank. When you drive, you fill up your fuel tank, you travel 500, 600, 700 kilometers, you have to fill it up. Exactly the same with batteries. If you utilized the battery power, the available battery power, you have to replace all of that battery power for the battery to be full again there, to utilize maximum out of the batteries. So what options do we have to recharge the batteries? Firstly, Eskom power. Plug it in. There's a normal charger, charging it there between 15 and 25 amps, and your batteries are full within 2 and 3 hours. The second option, you just need cables to running from the front, from your alternator or your main charging battery towards your auxiliary battery, either in your car or in your trailer. Is while we're driving, we need to make sure that there's a cable running from the front to the back to be able to charge your batteries as well. The third alternative is your solar power, your solar blankets. That is a whole science on its own. And again, as I said there, when we utilize the battery power, we have to put back into the battery exactly what we've utilized to make sure it lasts as long as possible. But before we can explain the full exchange and the solar environment, we need to explain certain concepts, and you have to understand certain concepts. We have to determine what is the usable sun hours that we have if we use solar. In South Africa or Southern Africa, it's roughly between 4 and 6 hours on a perfect day, without cloud, without shade, and your angle must be right towards the sun the whole time. So you have to move your solar panels from the morning, let them go around till the afternoon, because they come up at the east and they go down on the west. So firstly, we need to talk about the average use that we're taking out of our battery. Now, normally if we're talking about the fridge, at night time your lights is shining, maybe you have a fan or something that's running during the night as well there. In all the trips we see, we utilize roughly between 3 and 5 amps during the day, during the night. Okay. And I need to explain exactly how we measure that. If we are talking about, we use on average 3 amps. In an hour, we've utilized 3 amp hours. And that's because a lot of times you see just amps. That is at that exact moment. But if you utilize or you use that for an hour, it's called amp hour. So if we use on average 3 amps during a 12-hour period from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock the following morning, our calculation is the 3 amp hours times 12. That will give us 36 amp hours that we've utilized during a 12-hour cycle. Now, the next thing we need to look at is your capability of your solar panel. A lot of people have 100 to 150 watt solar panel because your solar panels is sized in terms of watts. Now, I will explain 150 watt solar panel. If it is a 150 watt solar panel and it is 18 volts as your specifications, you roughly get about, on perfect conditions, you can get 8 amp hours. My experience is that you do get around about 5 amps out of it there. So if your solar panel is running for an hour, you get 5 amp hours back, putting back into your battery. Now, how many hours do we need to put the 36 amp hours that we've utilized back into our batteries? Now that's easy. 36 divided by 5 will give you 7.1, 7.2 hours. Now immediately we can see we need 7 hours of perfect sunlight. There's our problem. If we don't get that 7.2 hours of perfect sunlight, we're not going to fill up the battery or of the power that we've utilized. So the normal 150 watt 18 volt panels is not enough. We need to look at something bigger. Now the next one you get is a 240 watt 18 volt solar power or solar panel. That solar panel will also give you roughly about 13 amps. It should give you under ideal circumstances. But again, ideal circumstances we don't always get. So I'm discounting about 30% of that there. That's why I will say a usable amps, you'll get run about 10 amps back into your battery at any given point in time. So 10 hours in an hour gives you 10 amp hours. And if you divide 36 by the 10 amp hours, that's 3.5 hours. Okay, now it gets a lot better. We can see that we can, within 3.5 hours, we can put all the power back into our batteries, because we always don't have a perfect day for between 4 and 6 hours. As I mentioned before, shade reduces dramatically. Clouds reduce it dramatically as well. Right? And your angle towards the sun, your solar panel angle towards the sun, if it's not right, again, it makes a big difference. A third option is to use a high voltage solar panel. I know there are 450 watt high voltage solar panels in the market. High voltage, we mean 36 volts. That's double what our 150 solar panel was. Now that 450 divided by 18 should give you roughly, perfect conditions, 25 amps. Again, take out 30% on there. That should give you around about 18 amps. There. Again, for an hour, if you can run it for an hour, that gives you 18 amp hours that you can put back. Now take again that 36 amp hours that we've utilized, divided by the 18. Within 2 hours, you'll be able to put all the power back under ideal conditions. But there's a catch again there. While this fridge is running, it uses on average 3 amp hours there. So when you take your 18 amps minus 3 will give you 15. So roughly again there, 2.5 hours, you should be able to get between 2.5 and 3 hours. You should be able to get enough power back. Don't forget, during the day, you also utilize power. And that power comes from the sun, but it takes it out, it doesn't go to the battery. So you have to make sure that you have enough put back into the battery within 2 and 3 hours, but also make sure that there's enough power for your existing fridge and freezers to run.